The 12th of August 2000, Russia was determined to show it was still a naval power, with the biggest military exercises in years in the Barents Sea. The pride of the Northern Fleet, Russia's first-class nuclear submarine, the Kursk. For the past 4 years, she'd sailed under the proud command of Captain Gennady Lyachin.
На мой взгляд и по мнению всех моих близких непосредственных начальников, это самая боеспособная единица.
But late that morning, the pride of the fleet was to become the fleet's shame. Vessels nearby noted 2 big explosions, 2 minutes apart. Contact with the Kursk ceased. The ships nearby did nothing. By the time the Russian public learned of the Kursk and her crew, she'd been at the bottom of the sea for 2 days. The military immediately assured everyone the situation was in control and the men were alive. In truth, there was no contact with the crew. Yet this came from the naval commander-in-chief.
Единственное ясно, что люди живы, и ясно второе, что экипаж подает сигналы СОС. Вот это точно ясно.
We now know that every last man on board that submarine was already dead, and they'd died long before rescuers even found the vessel. Their families, the Russian people, the rest of the world, were being deliberately misled. At first, they blamed a leftover World War II mine for blowing up the sub. Then they claimed a foreign vessel had collided with the Kursk. The Russians repeatedly tried and failed to reach the Kursk with outdated, substandard rescue equipment. Yet misplaced pride and fear of exposing the truth led Naval Command to ignore numerous international offers of help. In Scotland, a top team of rescuers waited, ready with a British submarine rescue craft far better than anything the Russians had. Tom Heron was the pilot of the LR5.
As soon as we heard, we were on standby. As soon as we had word coming through, there was things being arranged, and we were ahead of the game.
The Russians finally allowed them to come to the site 6 days after the Kursk sank.
I think as soon as the Kursk went down, we, and I'm sure many other people, offered to do anything we possibly could.
From Norway, the Stolt company was sending a team of commercial divers to the rescue. The Russians had put their failure to get to the Kursk down to bad weather and strong currents. The team from Stolt found neither.
The seabed conditions were excellent for diving, 20 meters visibility, very little current, less than half a knot, ideal diving conditions. The submarine was upright, lying flat on the seabed. So from our point of view, an easy working environment, well within our experience and technology.
0 reading on the Geiger counter. Copy.
It was the Stolt divers who finally reached the Kursk first, filming these pictures. They'd been told the hatch was damaged and the vessel lying on a sharp angle. It was simply more lies designed to disguise the Russian team's failure. What the Stolt team did find was the worst. 8 days after she sank, the hatch to the Kursk was opened. She was full of water. Every man inside was dead.
Не надо всем.
Давайте откроем, когда соответственно прочитаем.
The Navy claims it discovered a note on the body of one of 23 sailors found in the 9th compartment. The note was written by the young officer who'd assumed command of the survivors, Dmitry Kolesnikov. The 26-year-old, seen here, took the remaining men and emergency equipment to the 9th compartment and wrote his final words. He told his new bride he loved her, sent his regards to his parents, and listed the names of the men with him. Don't despair, he wrote.
То есть горжусь, там я не горжусь, герой, он не герой, понимаете, я его вспоминаю как сына только. И все.
Roman Kolesnikov was also a submariner. He believes Dmitry and the others could have survived long enough to be rescued if they'd had the right emergency equipment. But their efforts to stay alive were sabotaged from the start. Their breathing equipment was so old and unstable, it caught fire when it came into contact with seawater. What was meant to save them helped kill them.
Подводника входит в комплект спасательного снаряжения подводника, ССП, так называемый. Ну, нюанс такой. Аппарат этот называется ИДА 9М. 59 означает, что это аппарат 59-го года.
Years of underfunding by the Russian government had left the Navy's emergency equipment woefully outdated and its rescue services useless.
И, так сказать, всего прочего, вот Курск – это страшная жертва вот этой вот системы. Я так считаю.
When Russia's Prosecutor General did deliver his findings after a 2-year criminal investigation, they were limited to the technicalities of what caused the explosions. There was no World War II mine. There was no collision. The first explosion on the Kursk was caused by the leakage of highly unstable torpedo fuel, a mixture of hydrogen peroxide long abandoned by Western countries following similar accidents. That explosion detonated the submarine's entire stock of torpedoes. He found Dmitry, Alyosha, Roman and the other survivors died from carbon monoxide poisoning within 8 hours of the explosions. But, according to the Prosecutor General, no one could have foreseen the torpedo explosion. Therefore, no one will ever be held responsible for the deaths of the men. Case closed.